Here in Abuja, we're going to be taking a look at what has to do with human life. We are going to be discussing safeguarding schools from sexual harassment against students. In case a lot of us do not know, sexual harassment is any act that includes ogling at a woman, physically looking at a woman lustfully, even touching her, or saying things that connote sexual sexual innuendos to a woman is also part of sexual harassment. And in the past years, there are cases of students who are falling victim of this sexual harassment. Some of them did not even live to tell their stories. Yes, some did not live to tell their stories. And we had the issue of the sex work rates and everything in workplaces. We are going to be taking a look at this, and also we'll dive into sexual assault against even male children, because the focus mostly is on female children, but unfortunately male children also fall victims of sexual abuse. And to discuss this with me, I have two gentlemen in the studio. On my far right here, I have Olamileko, political analyst. You're welcome, sir.
Thanks for that.
He's also a policy analyst. He's an economist as well. He's a lot of things. And then we have Comrade Gerald Kachi, civil rights activist.
Yeah, very good morning to you and to Nigerians.
Well, I would like to start with you, seeing that you are a civil rights activist. I just touched briefly on what sexual harassment is. I would like you to elaborate more.
Sexual harassment is just like a web that involves and encompasses in a lot of things. Aside, touching, using vulgar words that may induce influence and lure someone into sex without the original consent from the person. Sexual harassment also involves touching, exploitation, using it in the form of bargaining, like some of the reports we oftentimes get from IDPs, where there are issues of using sex to bargain for food. It's also a form of intimidation and rape that we have oftentimes seen in our society, and most of these cases always go unreported because of fear of discrimination, stigmatization, and etc. And it's quite pathetic that recently these situations are on increase, because I must say that we don't have consequences for bad behaviors. We don't have consequences for bad behavior. I thank God that the recent case in FCT that we have robust and responsive response with regards to NBA Human Rights Committee, and some other groups like my organization that we have some of our members involved, that initiative against human rights abuse and torture. But then, if you look at it generally, sexual harassment involves molestation, involves minor exploitation, like the ones we have. We had the issue sometime November last year at Enugu State in a private school. We have 5 pupils that are less than 5 years. We are molested by their teacher. Yeah. You understand? I think the teacher is about 43 years old. But then it's quite pathetic that some of these things happen because they have covers from the ruling class, like the case I mentioned. They had happened in Enugu State in the private school. The school was sealed. We give police thumbs up with the response they gave. But then the videos and reports we got that the government of Enugu State, the wife of the governor, was a close friend to the owner of the school.
To the proprietor?
Yes. And the school was reopened. Whereas the victims are nursing pains, their private parts were damaged. And we expect her as a mother to at least visit some of these victims, especially the most pronounced one that almost all the media has carried. Rather, what we see is issue of intimidation, torture, that at a point the family of the girl child that was molested we are always being torn apart with propaganda.
Wow.
You understand? So, but that is on that. We have seen issues even here in Abuja. There's a particular case in Maraba where a secondary school student, we have over 17 cases, molested I think pupil that is still either primary 2 or primary 3. You understand? The cases are there, but then one of the challenges we face as activists, you know, in the struggle in the street is that some of the families struggle to be bold enough to come out because they fear against discrimination, public ridicule, and stigmatization, like I said earlier. They fear for many things, and again, they look at the justice system in our country. That when you begin to pursue for justice, how long will it take you? The frustrations of come here today, come tomorrow, even get their statement, they will be requesting for you to get to pay for statement sheet. You know those kind of stress. You are already traumatized with what your ward or your daughter or your child is going through, and then you are being exploited.
I'd like to hear from you, following. What's your own angle? You know, I am talking to men because I know I've had the privilege of discussing with men, and it appears that a lot of men do not see certain things as sexual harassment.
But for me, it's quite embarrassing that society is talking about sexual harassment, particularly one that, from the angle that I want to take, and from the angle that most of us see, there's what they call office romance. I think it starts from that. When it comes to whereby you begin to abuse your colleague in office, maybe because of sex for promotion or sex for higher reward or allowance in office. Then when you go to the education sector, it's about sex for grade or sex for promotion as well. Well, what I've discovered that has been affecting most of us in the society, particularly as Comrade said. Comrade is a lawyer, he goes to court and he understands some of the frustration that most Nigerians encounter when they take their case to court. I've had the opportunity of knowing a very young lady. She's about 35 now. She stayed in that same barracks about 15 years ago. She was raped. But you know that up to today, even though she has a very plum job that she is enjoying collecting her salary, that stigmatization, that discrimination, that memory of she was raped and is virgin at her tender age is still affecting her to the point that to get married, she's scared of getting married. That's one angle of this kind of situation that we found ourselves. Then for the 2 children that we have seen that have been abused sexually, for me, I don't know whether we can relate it to the issues in our society whereby people now tag these little children that you have sex with or you have abuse way of having engagement with them as a means of maybe ritual activities, because some people have linked it to ritual activities, some people have linked it to ability for some men or some individuals to be able to raise their ego or to show that they are enjoying certain act engaging with children. So it's so sad for me that in our society we are talking about, although it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone, we can also hear it in developed climes. But the difference between us and them is that their justice system is very active. In Nigeria, it's very difficult to prove the case of rape or molestation or sexual molestation. Very, very difficult. I've had the opportunity of attending some courses. I know Comrade has attended courses on social action where they organize courses for issues around rape, whereby we are told that when you go to court with a rape case, the clothes that victim wore that day, it is expected that she must have done tests. If it's possible, that is in Nigeria. In Nigeria, that cloth must be on that person even if she goes to court. Now, there will be a specimen test that must be shown to the court that at this point in time when this thing was carried out, like the one he made mention in the Enugu state now, that a particular young child, less than 5 years. When it has to do with a minor, like a little child, is it also difficult to prove? Definitely, you can see the case is trying to point. Maybe we have more facts on that particular one. This particular case. We are not talking about an adult. A child. Yes. In fact, the victim, the child, in her statement and pain, she was crying, bleeding very badly. And she was asked, what happened to you? Say, Auntie Nena. It's a private school, big school. Other pupils, we are laughing, you know, making just
of it. Now getting to authorities, that's why I say police, I give them thumbs up, but the ruling class in that state, I don't know what they are doing, because the rights of a child in that state is what I cannot tell. Because as it stands today, I was told that the thing was referred to DPP and it was charged to courts, and a particular judge was mentioned that is handling the matter. But you are charging a matter to court. The victim is not being invited or served. They are not aware when you are sitting or when you are not sitting. He goes to tell you a whole lot of things that are happening. You understand? If maybe the family did not reach out to us to make it public, it will die down like others. Out of the 5 children that we are involved, it's only one that is even trying to come out. Others are shading their children. Because of what? Public ridicule. Because they don't have confidence in the system. They don't have trust in the system. Now, talking about these issues, I see that aside from the minors, you come to secondary schools up to high institutions, most of the things that lead to this harassment or rape or defilement can be associated to peer pressure.
No, like for you who is a legal practitioner, I want to understand if a minor is raped, clearly it will show that there's forceful penetration and all of that. So what other proof does a judge require to act on?
You know, there are a lot of manipulations in the system. And these manipulations differ depending on the area you are approaching it. Like the case of a child, there are certain things that are required aside the testimony or statement of the child. There are issues of reports.
Okay.
The child would undergo medical tests. Then the pedophile that is involved will also be engaged. But what baffles me is that in situations like that, when those investigations must have been concluded, and you are fighting, claiming that you are pursuing justice for a minor, as this case with regards to the tender link, you are not taking the family along. You are not informing them when the court is sitting. You are not inviting them. And the owner of the school is going about boasting that his friend is the governor and nothing will happen. And actually, nothing has happened up to date. Now, taking it down to what is happening in our society today, you find a situation where even the ones that come from a good moral angle, moral background and structure, will be tempted by their friends that if you are not doing this, you are not in our class, you are not in our category, you cannot mingle. In fact, you show that you have not grown up. There are issues of drug abuse. There are issues that even cultures support such things, like the one we have presently in some areas in Niger State, in Lefa, and some local governments in that area, where they force girl child to marriage. They force, if maybe a season calls for celebration, you don't bring a man that you present as your husband, they will force one on you. And when you refuse, they will use the vigilant group there, pin you down until you get pregnant. The man will be raping you constantly.
In Niger State?
Yes.
Like,
and once they rape you, like you get pregnant, I can give you up to 5 cases. It's just because of their pregnancy. I've mentioned names. They will rape the girl will get pregnant. If after giving birth, if the girl has not really accepted the situation, they will make sure that she conceives second time. They will get the vigilantes, they will pin the girl down, and they will rape the girl. It's pathetic. And in such situations, you see such girls, when they finally gain their freedom, they either run away and end up becoming runs girls, or the ones that cannot forgive will either plan on how to kill the man, or kill themselves, or kill the children. The ones that we see it as the way the fates life, what life presents to them, will continue in that system, and the man will look for another target.
All right, for Lauren, I'll come to you. Okay, when we look at, I could say, years back when we were growing up as kids, because I have had cause to argue this, and people will say, well, it has been happening, but because back in the days there was no internet, we didn't have phones to make calls, to record, and all of that. But still, for me, I dare say that it's more now that we have technology and everything. Now, for you, when you look at your age, what is the ratio compared to before and now of these cases?
I think at the ratio we can say 4 to 6. Because what is happening then is still happening now. The only thing is the population of Nigeria have grown. We have more youthful population than then when I was still youth, maybe in the early 90s or late 90s. And the repercussion of what is happening is still what we are feeling right now. It's just that what we have now understood in our current society is that culture have now mixed with some of these things. Like the case is being mentioned in Niger State and some other parts of the north. As a result of forceful marriage or forceful engagement or betrothment of a young lady to either underage or rightful age to a man, it's happening. And it's so rampant across Nigeria. It's not just happening in the north, it's happening across. And one of the key things that Comrade made mention is around poverty. Although he made mention of peer pressure, poverty is one of the leading factors pushing so many families to engage in early marriage for their children. That is the early marriage factor. Definitely. Then the other aspect which is made of peer pressure, whereby young girls in school or young boys in school are now engaging in extramarital or extra relationship issues that could lead to raping or that could lead to sexual abuse, is also happening so rampant across our state. And that comes as a result of maybe because of the fact that a particular young girl is seeing his peer dressing fine, are looking so neat, are looking so fine, they are having big phone like iPhone and the rest of it. So she wants to join the clique, she wants to be part of it. Definitely she'll be recruited into that particular group activities, and before you know it, she may be raped. But the question about young child, primary school, kindergarten, being raped or being molested is a question that boils down to some of the domestication of the laws that we have created in this country to safeguard our little children. But as rightly pointed out, this system is not helping matters. Even though we have the laws in place, but the law is like it grinds so slow to the point that it doesn't give justice to the victim. Rather, it gives opportunity for the suspect to even enjoy more time. And guess what? By the time the law will eventually catch up and pronounce judgment or whatever case they want to put out, it will be just be a slap on the part of the suspect. Oh, yes. And they'll just go free, or they'll just ask them to pay some fine. But for me, as I rightly pointed when we were off air, he said something that rather than serving justice, what they are serving is to punish the wrongdoer or to punish wrong people for wrong offense. But the wrong people themselves are not punished. So for me, it's about how can we review our law to safeguard our young child? Because most states, as we speak right now, have not yet domesticated child act. Right? No, that's it. The issue here is it the lack of laws, or let me just say the inadequacy of the law, or the implementation. You know, there's the law, there's implementation, and there's enforcement. There's something that Comrade said. He said a friend, the owner of the school was a friend to the governor. The ruling class have understood that even though this law will work, but they will frustrate the implementation of the law. All the corruption cases that we have seen, and somebody that stole chicken in the market, and the person that stole billions of naira, is it not the same law that will bind them and send them to prison? Exactly. That the law that will against the one that will, the interpretation of the law against someone that stole billions of naira is different from the interpretation of the law that stole a chicken in the market. There's something they call plea bargain. We have that. I'm not. In rape cases. No. I'm just referring to the corruption cases that you're talking about. The politicians, they plea bargain. Is that not what they tell us? That is what they tell us. They plea bargain. They give half of whatever they've stolen.
In our situation, I don't think.
But in the case of rape, there's nothing you can give. You've taken. The perpetrator has taken.
Oh yes, and in situations like that, I don't think that we are facing a lack of laws. Or to tackle such issues. In fact, in Africa, if not the world, we are one of the people that have one of the best laws that tackle issues of rape, defilement, and molestation. If you look at, apart from the Child Rights Act, we have VAP Act, we have Agricultural Act, and so many other beautiful laws that can tackle such issues. But then, implementation and enforcement is a problem. We have created a lot of agencies. Of course, at a point, I was very, I was giving thumbs up with this present administration when they said that they want to implement Orusaye's report, you know, merging of some agencies. But that is not the case today. What do I mean? We have created a lot of agencies and commissions that are doing the same job. For example, we have National Human Rights Commission.
Overlapping responsibilities.
Some of these cases, even when you report it, the stress they will take you through. I mean, the stress they will take you through, especially that PCC. You understand? The stress they will take you through will make you even regret going there.
Even you, as a legal practitioner, you go
as
through
a human
that.
rights.
As a human rights activist,
yes.
You go through. You go through that.
It's a lot of
that long process.
The stress they will put you through will make even the complainant that comes to you
look see you as a joke,
as if you are not doing any work. Most of the works or success rate we get is either collaboration with the National Human Rights Commission or the ones we do on the street in collaboration with some other like-minded agencies as organizations. You understand? We struggle a lot with most of these agencies created that will tackle these issues. Now you talk about getting justice enforcement. Recently, we got a judgment against the Nigerian Police Force with the issue of fundamental rights abuse and extrajudicial killings. That judgment has been there for over a year. It's another hectic challenge to enforce that judgment. Okay, you actually won the case. Yes. So enforcing the outcome of the case is now an issue. It's a different thing entirely. Oh. You understand? That it doesn't encourage others that may fall victim of such. Because it takes you over 4 years to struggle for it. After 4 years to get judgment. Implementation, it becomes another thing. It may take you another 4 years. If I like seriously? During the NSAS judicial panel of inquiry with regards to NSAS, there are cases that we are submitted at the National Human Rights Commission that they got judgment as far back as early 2000s. Okay, as a lawyer. So, as a human rights activist. Now, how about you a lawyer? No, address me as a human rights activist. Okay, human rights activist. Now, if you look at the report, those people that got judgment over 10-15 years, the only way they succeeded with this compensation paid by the National Human Rights Commission, where affidavits will be signed that once this compensation is paid, they don't go into the matter again. So a situation whereby, for example, you okay, the affidavit is it like non-disclosure agreement, or you just sign that you won't say anything again about the case? You will say now, but you will not go to court again with regards to the matter. For example, if maybe court gave you judgment that maybe issues of rights abuse or fundamental suit, you get judgment, say for example 20 million, and maybe you have struggled over the years, and you go to that panel, which they have concluded, and maybe they give you affidavits where you swore that whatever decisions or resolutions that the panel will give, you are okay with it, and you may not be taking legal action. They may decide to give you 5 million. Oh. Okay, that is how it works. Yes. Okay, it's not that you sign the affidavit after receiving. No, you don't even know what you receive. You understand? But it's far better that you have judgment for years, and it's taking you more than a decade. You have not been able, that to say, you may not even till you die, you may not be able to enforce such. So the justice system here gives room to insecurity, it gives room to agitation, it gives room to corruption, it gives room to a lot of evil. Because if you look at those that are perpetrating it, they are not facing consequences. At all. What else? There are a lot, if you go to Kuje, there are a lot of people in Kuje that are languishing for what ordinarily they shouldn't. There are people that have helped this country. Instead of giving them recommendation, a pat in the back, they are there. They are there for helping the country. It may not drop up charges. You know, of course. Exactly. If they don't like you, maybe you are becoming a threat to whatever they stand for. You understand? There are classical examples, which I may not mention here because of high profile it is.
No, don't.
You understand?
Don't.
Exactly.
That certain percentage we are supposed to pay to the guy for helping the country to recover over 1.something trillion.
Whistleblower.
You understand? Because the guy was refusing to cut, because I think what was supposed to be given to him was around 65 billion, 5% of what he recovered, and he was being encouraged to collect about 32 billion. He refused. Today he's in Kuje.
Well, it's not funny.
So there are a lot of things that are happening that people are struggling. I think some of the ways we can tackle these things is education and awareness.
Okay, I wanted to find out from as a human rights activist, and I'm sure you must have had, in the case of pedophilia, you must have had cause maybe to interact with the perpetrator or something. What goes on in their minds? What do they say happen to them when they commit this atrocious act?
Well, the perpetrators, sometimes they will, of course, generally 90% of them will tell you that it's them.
They would blame the devil.
Yes. But if you do further investigation of forensic, you see that some are induced by drugs.
Okay, I will construe your thoughts there. We are taking a commercial break, and when we come back, we shall continue. The gentlemen will still be here where we will continue our discussion on tackling sexual harassment, especially in schools.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids. Milo!
We're still discussing tackling sexual harassment, especially in schools, and these gentlemen are still here. We still have Following Olamileko and Comrade Gerald Kachi. They are still in the studio. Well, we do not have much time, so I would like you both, one after the other, to say your last word. Let me start with you, Following, your last word. Though this should have been a very long discussion, but I'm sure we'll get back to you some other time.
I think for me, the solution to the problem is what we should be looking at. We have said we have a lot of laws. We have agency, we have NAPTIP, we have National Human Rights Commission, we have the PC's Public Complaint Commission. We also have the courts, and we also have state governors and their domesticated agencies also doing one or two things in relation to rape and child violation and the rest of them. But the main problem is that are we going to use political will with the law to ensure that we have solutions? Because if we don't add political will to it, the example is cited in the book is a result of poor activation of political will to ensure that justice is served to the people. But we must ensure that we bring this together with law and political will on the part of the ruling class.
Okay.
I think one of the ways we can go, yes, just like he mentioned, a lot of agencies, including the Ministry for Women Affairs and others. One of the ways I think we can tackle such issues is to create awareness, education, sexual education, and ensure that we go back to our culture where community help to train every Nigerian child. It's no longer what we have today, where you go on the street, you see both indecent dressing and other things that even encourage those evil that we discussed, because we have not even gotten to that point. Just like you said, that is a very big discussion that I believe with the kindness of the station, they will look at it some other time. You understand? You look at some of the vices that encourage such things. We need to do education, sexual education, awareness, sensitization, and campaign against such. Then some of our faith agencies should also look at creating department, not just doing spiritual activities. Find a way of looking at moral activities for the children and the youth. It will help a lot. It will help a lot.
All right, thank you very much. We have been discussing with Folarin Olamilekun, a political analyst, and Comrade Gerald Kachi, who is a civil rights activist. Thank you very much for being part of the program. Sexual harassment in school, like I said earlier on, some students didn't make it alive to tell their full stories, while some told their stories before they even died. But what happened next? Nobody knows anything. Nothing happens, because most cases, those involved, the perpetrators, they are people who are either from the elite, or they know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And this is a culture that must stop in this country if we truly want to fight this ugly trend.